All right. I call to order the regular code enforcement board meeting for scheduled Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Roll call, Christian?
Chairperson Stephen Gilday.
Here.
Vice Chair Miguel Martin.
Present.
Board Member Art Gallo.
Present.
Board Member Maurice Capro.
Here.
Board Member Karen Owens.
Present.
Board Member Debbie Pankey.
Present.
Board Member Jim Thompson.
Here.
And Assistant City Attorney Amelia Ulmer.
Also here.
Thank you.
Okay, if I could ask everyone to please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, I'm sorry, I should have given you a little more time, okay. Dear Heavenly Father, please continue to bless our policemen, our first responders, and all of those who are instrumental in making the city of Winter Springs a great city. Please, Lord, watch over all the folks that also keep our country safe and protect us. Ms. Owens, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Deputy Chief Presley, any changes or corrections to the agenda?
Good evening. No changes, no corrections.
Do we have an approval to, or a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move to approve the agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. May I ask the code enforcement officers and any other individuals that are giving testimony tonight to please stand?
If you would just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
For those who will be giving testimony, I'll ask that when you're asked to speak, if you'd approach the stand and state your name and address for the record, okay? All right. We're on to the first case. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Excuse me, did anybody review the minutes from the January 28th meeting?
Yeah, I think we have the information item before the minutes.
That item that you're referring is informational. I mean, if you want to talk about it, you can, but I think the police were just
Just providing for
providing it per your all's request.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Just in case I'm not skipping it and somebody does have something to say, is there anyone on the board that has any questions, comments, or concerns about the monthly report?
Just thank you for providing the report. It was very thorough in providing us some information on where we were at last month. And thank you for responding to the commentary we had last month's meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. Just for the people listening, code cases we had initiated in January were 160. There's still 50 cases that are open, and there's 5 board cases. So out of that 160 cases, it's maybe 3%, something like that, that comes in front of us. So it says the folks of the community are trying their best to work with code enforcement, which is really good. Because anyway, thank you for that report.
Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the minutes. Has anybody reviewed the January 28th code?
Yes, Chair, I reviewed the minutes, and I just want to offer a couple of suggested corrections to the minutes. When we got to the minutes for the elections as well as the consent agenda, the date was misplaced as 2024 instead of 2025.
Okay.
Also, at the end of our meeting, we did have the discussion that led to the information item. I'm not sure if that should be included in the minutes as well. But those were the minor corrections that I wish to present.
Did that mirror the concerns that you had?
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Christian, do you need anything else in addition to make those corrections?
If the board is in agreement with those corrections, just note that in the motion.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to, approve the minutes with the corrections as stated as the dates of 2025, as well as the inclusion of our discussion for the information item.
I'll second.
that.
Multiple seconds. Christian?
Okay. Board Member Gallo.
Aye.
Board Member Capro.
Aye.
Board Member Owens.
Aye.
Board Member Penke.
Aye.
Board Member Thompson.
Aye.
Vice Chair Martin.
Aye.
Chair Gilday.
Aye. And with that, I will also need a motion to approve the minutes, or is that acceptable as,
No, that was the motion to approve.
just want
as
to make
amended.
sure. All right. And we'll move on to the first hearing, 500 case. Please state your name and position.
For the record, Chris Elbon, Code Compliance Inspector for the City of Winter Springs. I have been sworn. I request this presentation and the testimony be provided as part of the official record. The first agenda item to be heard is case number 2024-CE002329 for the property located at 147 Hayes Road, a violation of IPMC Section 302.3, sidewalks and driveways. Under IPMC Section 302.3, sidewalks and driveways, sidewalks, walkways, stairs, driveways, parking spaces, and similar areas shall be kept in a proper state of repair and maintained free from hazardous conditions. So just a little background on this case. It did come in as a citizen's complaint in which a resident that typically walks in this area has to traverse the sidewalk, and how these driveways are positioned. The sidewalk ends and you have to cross the driveways, and some of them were in disrepair. There was approximately 2 or 3 other properties that were in disrepair. They also brought their properties into compliance, and this is the only one along this section of roadway that has not brought their property in compliance. So, case summary. On July 31st, 2024, I arrived at the reference property based on a citizen's complaint for an on-site walkway. I observed that the driveway at the reference property failed to be kept in a proper state of repair and failed to be maintained free from a hazardous condition. This is Exhibit 1 from the inspection on July 31st, 2024. Like I mentioned, the sidewalk kind of ends, and then you have to traverse across the driveway before picking up again. On August 5th, 2024, a courtesy notice was sent to the property owners by USPS regular first-class mail. On October 21st, 2024, I conducted a reinspection of the reference property and observed that the property remained in violation. Exhibit 2. This is Exhibit 2 for the reinspection on October 21st, 2024. On October 22nd, 2024, a notice of code violation was sent to the property owner by USPS certified mail with return receipt requested. On October 28th, 2024, the notice of code violation was delivered to the property owners. On January 7th, 2025, I conducted a reinspection of the reference property, observed that the property remained in violation. Exhibit 3. This is Exhibit 3. On January 8th, 2025, the notice of hearing was sent to the property owners by USPS certified mail with return receipt requested. On January 13th, 2025, the notice of hearing was delivered to the property owners. On February 4th, 2025, I conducted a reinspection of the property and observed that the property remained in violation. Exhibit 4. And then as of yesterday, February 24th, 2025, I conducted a reinspection of the property and found that the violation remained. Staff recommendation. Staff recommends the Code Enforcement Board find the property in violation and issue an order requiring the violation to be corrected and the property brought into compliance on or before March 27th, 2025, allowing for 30 days, and consider an imposition of a daily fine of up to $250 per day in the event the requirements of the order have not been met by the date set for compliance by the Code Enforcement Board. That concludes my presentation. Does the board have any questions?
Yes, since you noted receipt of your violation, have you had contact?
Yes, there's been previous contact with the property owners. At one of those conversations, they requested an extension until December to bring that property into compliance, so that an extension was granted, but it wasn't brought into compliance.
And the first date was October on your presentation, I'm sorry.
The first date, as he noted, I believe it was back in July 31st, 2024.
Okay. When did you give them the extension?
See, that would have been after the notice of code violation was sent. So they had an extension through December, and as of that January 7th, 2025 is when the reinspection was performed.
And no other communication about resolve after that extension expired?
To the best of my knowledge, nothing that I can recall.
Okay. And can you go back to the picture, just so we're on? So pretty much from the end of the street to the back of the car, we have,
Let me bring up the most recent.
hazardous surface.
Correct. And there's some of the concrete that's coming up there as well, or the pavement. And then there's also this depression that's forming in there, and also around here. So pedestrian traffic may have to traverse around, and it's not a smooth walking surface.
The material's blacktop?
It appears to be.
Anyone have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
In your recommendation, you're providing 30 days to bring in the property into compliance. To your knowledge, will the work that is required, meaning patching and repairing, require a city permit to be issued for that work?
For repair, no.
Okay.
Do you see any change within the last few months that you've been out there?
I've seen a change with the conditioning appear to worsen.
How deep do you think that drop-off is? That hole?
Are we talking, I mean, here or here?
Well, I was looking at the round one more so.
There's multiple undulations.
Yeah.
So it could be anywhere, maybe a quarter inch.
Does that neighborhood right there all have asphalt driveways, or is there any sidewalk that goes through the driveway area, or is this house unique that way?
No, there's a few properties, excuse me, where the sidewalk, excuse me, where the sidewalk kind of ends, and then you have to cross the driveway, and it continues. There's a few other properties that had similar conditions, and they had made those corrections to the driveways, and then perhaps a few blocks down is where the sidewalk is continuous.
Okay, so I guess some of those homes, the sidewalk stops and the driveway is asphalt, I take it? That's,
Yes.
I guess we'll have to wait to hear from the respondents here, see what they got. I'm just trying to understand what the neighborhood's like. So basically, this one is to the point where it's dangerous because of the conditions.
Correct, because and that's the assertion, because the only way to continue on the sidewalk is to traverse across the driveway.
Yeah, the apron isn't in such a good shape either, so.
No, so if that's a route a pedestrian, the foot traffic decides to take, again, it's also just not a smooth walking surface.
Okay.
Just another parenthetical question, Inspector. Is that truck parked in a DPA, in a designated parking area, or is that hanging over?
I believe that's the entire driveway.
Any further questions? No. All right. We have a respondent present. Please state your name and your address.
Martha Cortez Mendez, excuse me, and it's a 147 Hayes Road.
Okay.
Jose Cortez Mendez, 147 Hayes Road, and we are the owners of the property.
Okay. Can you give us a little insight as to what happened after you were issued the extension through December?
Yeah, we actually request a couple proposals to fix it. They were about $8,000 to $10,000 to repair the driveway. So that is why I told my wife we need to call the code enforcement guy to let us know, to let them know that we need to have a bigger extension because it's 10 grand right there. We can, I was talking to her right now, we might be able to have like a temporary solution while we come with the money, which is basically either put some kind of dirt or infill, like temporary infill until we fix it. Because as you say, that's not even concrete. That's basically asphalt. When we purchased the property, it was that was like kind of a patch. They patch it and go, and they sell it like that. And 3 years, 4 years later, it start making the hole in the hole. So we intended to fix it. I know this looks a hazard. It's a hazard situation right there. We just need to have some more time to come up with the money.
All right, with the extension to December, did you have the quotes then? And have you started to come up with a plan as far as how to get the money and how long it will take?
Yes.
Okay, what are?
Well, we have to. We're actually trying to save the money to fix the driveway. And also have a couple guys that I know that work in construction that they might be able to help us out do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were to go that route, and I'm not telling you, I'm giving you an extension at this point, when that's going to be for the board as a whole to decide. I'm just trying to get some information. What time period would you be looking at to get
We're
from here to
looking-
completion?
We're looking at a couple months, maybe 3 or 4, because he's a small business, so it's kind of touch and go with as far as, money goes. So sometimes it's really, really good, and sometimes it's not as, good for us. But we have been saving. We just don't have, $10,000 yet. So, like you were saying, if we, could patch it for the moment, and with those, that extra time for us to actually have that money to actually fix the entire thing, because it's not gonna be just that area, it's gonna be all the way up to the house, because that area as well is being broken completely by the trees.
Yeah, you see that.
So the whole area has to be completely removed, because where the truck is, underneath the truck, there's a tree that's right next to it. It actually has completely, the roots have completely come up out of the, so for us, we're gonna have to completely dig out everything, including all the roots, to actually fix it. So it's not gonna be just, they said $10,000, but in my opinion, it's probably gonna be more, because we're gonna have to take all the roots out of the front of the house as well.
All right, now, as far as the patch, we, as a board, can't get in to tell you how you can or you cannot patch, but I will tell you, fill is not gonna be sufficient. If you're gonna patch it, if you were patching it with a like material and it would be acceptable to the code enforcement officers when they go out, or someone else from the city to inspect it?
Well, I've seen other houses around the corner that the whole entire driveway, including the sidewalk, is just gravel. So I don't know what will make a difference if we put some gravel or we put some dirt, at least to level it up for a moment, for now, until we fix it. Because I know that the hazard right there is that it's uneven as well. So you have water puddles, and we have holes when people walk. So he is absolutely right. We just need to figure out how to do it.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I was trying to think in my head, since I just was looking at the tax record. The repair looks like it's almost 4 times their tax bill, so just as a point of reference. And just going back to the initial violation, the violation includes the sidewalk, the walkway, the driveway, and the parking spaces according to the report. Is that correct?
That's just the code definition, where it defines all of these kind of as one, but essentially it's that walking surface.
Is there a potential to bring that sidewalk into compliance to alleviate this condition, and then they have a long-term plan to fix the driveway for their use?
That would be more of a question for the building department. If like a gravel driveway is permitted, would they have to put in a sidewalk? That'd be a question for the building department.
For the code, Officer Elbon, who's responsible for the sidewalk? Is that a city responsibility, or is that a homeowner responsibility?
Typically, I mean, it depends where the property lines are. I mean, I just can't answer that right now with this property, especially if the entire driveway goes out to the roadway, it's typically the homeowner's responsibility.
Okay, I can only go from what I know from where I live. You know, our HOA takes care of our sidewalk and our apron area, because that's part of the HOA, but the driveway is my responsibility, so I would have to repair that. So I would think you all would want to get with the building department, confirm who owns that sidewalk, and find out what you can do for the driveway. Because I don't know, and you guys don't know, but we got to get it repaired to make it safe.
I was also looking at the property record that was provided from the Seminole County Property Appraiser. It includes a photo that was taken on March 17th, 2022, and you can actually see the edge of the driveway buckled in the condition that was in this photograph. So this has been an ongoing condition even before
A couple of years?
it's been brought. Yeah.
Does anyone have any other further questions?
I have a quick question. For compliance, in making the sidewalk traversable, does it have to be repaired with the asphalt, or if it's leveled and safe with dirt or some other medium, does that make it in compliance for safety purposes?
Not for a sidewalk. So it may have to either be asphalt, pavement, some form of similar material. And I mean, because the sidewalk ends, it would be the property owner's responsibility. But again, they could contact Public Works, the building department, see if there's any solution for that. Or especially if you're allowed to put in gravel, will the city put in a sidewalk, or are you going to be responsible for building that sidewalk? That's going to be a question for Public Works and the building department.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, there's no avenue for compliance just to address the sidewalk currently, and then move on to the apron and driveway later.
Correct, because it's all one
defined
under
as
the
one.
code.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Welcome.
So what you can have a seat for right now. we're being asked to consider by staff a recommendation of 30 days. Per the respondents, they're talking about a procedure taking 90 to 120 days. So with that in mind, the patching in the interim would probably be the way to go, but as far as finding out I don't think there's clarity on what they can use on, as far as
Yeah,
what the patch.
I think they'll have to talk to the building department, to the permitting department,
Correct.
Public Works, and work that out. I think they're saying that they need 120 days to repair it. Personally, I would have no problem giving them 120 days, might even tack another couple of days on it, just to make sure that they don't run into trouble. But at some point, it has to be taken care of.
Agreed that it has to be
Right.
taken care of. My concern, though, Mr. Elbon, can you speak to hazards of walking over there? Does it appear to, be more of a cosmetic repair, or is this something that it's an inconvenience when there's a picture where it might be a little bit damp or wet after rain? Or is there a falling hazard? It's hard to see the depth on the pictures.
The condition, it does present a hazard. I mean, I haven't had any reports of anyone actually falling down, so
Thank God for that.
the level of hazard may be lower. It is in disrepair to where if it continues, that level of hazard may increase. So at this time, staff doesn't have any issue with providing more time for compliance.
Okay.
yeah, I think, because of the pictures, we have photo evidence that it's been there for a while.
Correct.
I guess it was there when the respondents purchased the home, too. So I agree, I don't have a problem with expending it, to help folks out. They want to do right, I think, that you just need some time to get the money together to fix it, so I'm okay with that, too.
And that's why I think that they really need to talk to Public Works. And they need to, because if Public Works would take care of it as a city sidewalk.
That's what I was wondering.
That's what I'm wondering too. If Public Works will take care of it as a city sidewalk, then they would only be responsible for their driveway, potentially the apron.
Because I don't think they're gonna blacktop over the sidewalk.
No.
No.
They wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
So
There
they
be
would
a-
wanna do it separate.
Right, there would be a concrete,
Right.
it would be a concrete sidewalk, and there would be, they could blacktop on either side of that.
Right.
But that's a Public Works issue, that's not ours.
And that's not something we can determine without the survey.
Of course,
So,
correct,
yeah.
but, right, even with the survey, you couldn't determine it, because sidewalks are generally public right-of-ways. But if they can talk to Public Works, and Public Works would repair the sidewalk, that'll relieve them of
Something.
some money.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could just put, as far as 30 days of getting in touch with the city.
Yeah, but that doesn't resolve the issue. What we have to do as a board is set a date for compliance. And just talking to Public Works is not compliance. Compliance means fixing it.
We can give them guidance on the path within the city, but that's not a part of our
Gotcha.
motion or our job as the board.
The other component besides the time is the fine if it doesn't come into compliance. I keep on looking back at the proposed cost of being so great compared to what they have to pay as far as a tax on it. That is it really considerate for us to impose an additional $250 a day if they can't even afford to do the repair?
Right, but we don't have to impose 250.
Correct.
We can impose a lesser amount.
Correct. I just wanted to plug that in there, that maybe we should consider that.
Yes.
Any other discussion, comments, questions, concerns? Would anyone like to present a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move to find that, based upon the upon the photographs, the testimony from the officer and the respondent, all show that that factually, that sidewalk and the sidewalk and the driveway are in disrepair in violation of IPMC Section 302.3, and that respond is in violation of the city code. I move to order the response be given until, this is...
June's
for
120.
March, April, May, June, until July 15th, 2025. That will be enough time? Until July 25th, July 15th, 2025, to correct the violation. In the event the respondent fails to comply by that date, and the fine in the amount of $25 shall be imposed per day per violation until compliance is reported to and verified by city code enforcement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just a clarification, the compliance date was July 15th, and the daily fine that was proposed was 25.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, Christian, we have a motion and a second.
Board Member Gallo.
Aye.
Board Member Capro.
Aye.
Board Member Owens.
Aye.
Board Member Penke.
Aye.
Board Member Thompson.
Aye.
Vice Chair Martin.
Aye.
Chair Gilday.
Aye. Do you understand what this means then? And we'll have you come back in for a non-compliance hearing as well. What I'd like to ask you to do, I can't make you stay in contact with Code Officer Albon, but I would ask that you do, and that you check with the city and take the recommendations to find out, because first and foremost, there's some good suggestions that were made that are worth checking on. They'll know better to tell you if the city can take care of the sidewalk. Maybe they can't, maybe they can. We can't answer that. But they also may work with you as far as what options you have to maybe take a lesser expensive approach. So I would definitely heed the advice and come in and see what they have to say and get done so you're back in compliance.
Yeah, I'm not sure who best to speak with the city, but I would recommend just coming right through the door and talk to permitting, and they can probably look up your plat and find out who owns that sidewalk and give you some information that would help you decide what you need to do.
Or they could talk to Phil Hirsch over at Public Works to see about the sidewalk.
But, true.
Yep.
But these folks don't know who Phil Hirsch is.
Oh.
and-
If they call, if you call, look up the cities, on the city website, you'll find the phone numbers for Public Works. Phil Hirsch is the Director of Public Works. You can certainly call that number, ask to speak to him, and see what he can tell you about the sidewalk. He's an engineer, he knows these things.
Here is someone on his staff can help you too, but between permitting and, I guess, Public Works, they should be able to help you out. Sure,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're, I would think that that's the city. You got paved area.
I think in some
Who's
cases,
responsible for
it varies is the problem, and with that, we can't answer with 100% certainty.
But it's funny, you know, they say you have a 60-foot lot, 40 feet of it's the city, and then you got this 20 as theirs. That's just kind of silly.
Those trees can be a problem too. I love trees, but boy, the roots,
Especially the oaks.
that close to the house.
If you go right over them, you're not going to resolve the problem.
Right, yeah, and they may have to get it, I mean, they can easily get an arbor permit to remove it because it's a danger to the property.
Thanks, everyone. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to ask anyone if there's any other topics, issues, questions, concerns.
Yeah, I have one. Typically, we get training, and we haven't had training in a long time. And typically, it's the Legal Beagle that does it,
Okay,
and we usually do it in the beginning of the year.
okay.
like now would have been a perfect time because we had a short meeting. But we have some new members who haven't been through the training, and some of us may need refresher training too.
If you happen to have a card,
I do, yeah.
I may actually, I'm a pack rat and I keep fun.
Okay.
I have if Christian's unable to, I may have some past training material so you can see what we did in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
That was also on mine.
Okay.
I just wanted to share, and I'm not going to go into all the detail and bore everybody, but I had the opportunity, I was invited to, as a follow-up to one of the commissioner meetings, to go listen to one of the commissioners speak to a group of veterans, and he brought up a couple boards and from his standpoint, his concerns, and I had it in the back of my head as we were going through tonight, and I know I sat on the board with Maurice. Well, you were on when I got on, and I remember learning, I think, a lot from you as far as the compassion, but the need to be fair in the city and to do the right thing and drive folks to keep our city beautiful, but to also be held accountable. And the interpretation presented about our board and a couple others, which is not worth naming, is that we levy results that vary depending on what the individual may look like or represent, where they may live in the city. And I just, when I heard it, my jaw dropped, because it's totally nothing that I've ever seen happen here. I've seen compassion, I've seen listening to how engaged the residents are, and if they're responsible and they're receptive to the code enforcement officers, if they're answering their notices, opposed to somebody where they go out and post on a garage door and it's ripped down and they don't show for anything, you know what, you have different, I think, different levels of caring, interest, and accountability on the side of the respondents. And that in no way, shape, or form was represented from the words. But it did bring up the point, and I had it on my notes, was that the training, I think, is valuable because it was presented as if we go out haphazard without working as a team with some background training and knowing what to do. So just with that being said, I just want us to be cognizant of that. And I think that when Christian, I guess last night there's a motion I may or may not have fully understood. I know you had some questions on it, but as far as the boards going in front and being evaluated and that stuff.
It's not paused.
Pardon me?
It's paused.
Yeah, well, last night it was
Yeah,
kind
last
of
night
put
they
on,
paused
but I just want to say, if we do come up, I think that it would only be fair that that we be given the opportunity to kind of speak and defend some of that, I think, misnomers and definitely misunderstandings by certain council members. So.
Yeah, definitely, Steve, that's a great point. If this code enforcement board comes up on it as an agenda item, we all probably need to be there to listen to it and then get our chance as public input, because you don't know what's going to come up. And that's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, I was given permission to accept an audio of it, so I am able to, and it's already been presented to the city. So this is not anything that I'm pulling out of thin air. I mean, these are actual items that were addressed and presented to a group of veterans, and which it's embarrassing when something's said that is totally false.
That was about our code enforcement?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, a couple other boards as well. So, which we all know isn't the truth, but, so.
I think personally, and my history on the board doesn't go back as far as, Mr. Maurice Capro here, or you, but I think we've been very fair. We've tried to follow some standards, we look at all the evidence, and most of the times, it seems to me, the respondents don't show up. And when we do, that's a big plus, because I think we all want to hear the other side of the story. And these guys have a tough job as code enforcement officers. Look, 160 cases, and, one showed up to us this month out of that. So that means you guys are doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get compliance done.
Of course.
So I don't know where that's
Yeah.
coming from, but that is totally.
Misunderstanding, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because,
And I think this case would have gone way different if they weren't here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, of course,
Agreed.
absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is I think if you were to actually look at it, the numbers, the difference is probably if the person is present and can answer questions versus the people that are not here. I think that is probably where your discrepancy would be the largest, not based on, I mean, and I can be honest with you, I don't even know where half of these places are. I've only lived here for 2 years, so I don't know what, I mean, you know what I'm saying? When somebody's saying this is because they live in a certain area, I don't even know what half of that stuff is.
yeah,
but-
you know what, it doesn't matter what area they live.
Well, agreed.
It
It's,
doesn't, I mean, it's too small, honestly, it's too small of a city to have
Yeah.
that much of a.
Right, the city is
a
the
bias.
city. It
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
And I think
So-
that any time that I mean, I've been here a year, the biggest difference has been when somebody is here to answer the questions and and talk to us about what's going on and why or why not it's in compliance and what they can do.
Or
Example of this one.
or has a dialogue. It's when they're
Yep.
ignoring the code enforcement officers. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, it all has to start there.
As long as they're talking to the code officer, they're fine. If they stop talking and they have a problem and they end up here, if they talk to us, we'll listen and we'll try to help them. We're not out to harm anybody. We're not out to just find people willy-nilly. But we want compliance. You have to have compliance.
Yep. So anyway, this all kind of boils into the training.
Yeah,
So
we can definitely put something together and prepare
On my
something
way
for an upcoming meeting.
past, I'll grab a card from you and then I'll look to send that to you.
Yeah,
And,
that, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Take what's already been done and make sure
Right.
it's still current.
The problem there is we have kind of, I don't want to say a moving target, we're not a target, but the rules of engagement have been adjusted, I'll say, along the way a little bit with, I think when I jumped on and first started, we would hear every case and regardless, you could have 15 violations or one, you were given a penalty for that case.
That's right, right.
And then as time went on, we broke it into individual violations.
Right.
So there's a penalty for each violation or not, and we move it that way. So there may be some changes, but I think as far as the rest of it, at least it'll show you in the past the items, and it probably wouldn't hurt for all of us to brush up on it.
Definitely, yeah, we
so-
can absolutely put that together.
Just remember that a lot of the changes we see comes from the comes from the circuit courts, from the district courts.
That's right,
Not the
right.
circuits, but primarily the districts, because that's where you get the written opinions. And and it can be any district in the state. I think there's 6 districts in the state, but any one of those district judges comes up and says, on a code case, this is what you need to do. We'll follow it because we don't want to. We don't want to, we don't want to get in trouble. Which is why now we turn around and we become very specific in the motions. Based on the photographs and the testimony, and this is the violation. We never used to do that. So we have evolved. We've absolutely evolved.
As far
Agreed.
as
100%.
training requests, just to keep an eye out on the legislative session in Tallahassee,
Of course,
because they always have a zinger that comes in that can
absolutely.
change enforcement rules on us and just keep us abreast of that.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly will.
All right. Sorry to hijack that part, but anything else from anyone?
I think it was a good
It's
point.
fine. It's
No.
good.
Okay. And I think that's all it on this regular code enforcement meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir.
Thank you.
Question for me. That was what I was trying to say with my question. I was like, oh, that's what started it much better. Sometimes my brain